Clock here. First order of business, we have a public hearing. Colin is going to take point on the public hearing side of this. So Colin.
All right, thanks, Steve. I don't have a nameplate up here right now, but I'm Colin Andrews, the county attorney. As we all know, we have a highway garage project that's ongoing, and there's it's a fairly complicated procedure. I don't want to belabor the point, but the county has created what's a building corporation. The building corporation will hold the real estate. This is all procured through lease financing. There was notice of a public hearing on additional appropriations from the sale of the land from the county over to the building corporation, and that notice was published on June 23rd. Statute requires 10-day notice of the hearing, and we're outside of those 10 days. So the agenda spells out the public hearing language. It was published in the Ossian Journal and the News Banner. So at this time, I would ask if there is any individual who wishes to speak on the additional appropriations that we're discussing today. Okay. Hearing none, I will end the public hearing on that, and I can proceed with the resolution that we prepared. But if you have other matters that you want to,
Well, go ahead.
okay. So we've been working with Rick Hall, and he's our bond counsel in this case at Barnes and Thornburg, around with Bradley Bingham. This resolution is very simple. It basically, it's saying we, as the county council, there will be an issuance of bonds at some point for the purchase of the land, for the holding of the land. The land needs to be purchased at or above the value that it was purchased at whenever it was purchased a while back. I believe it was purchased for around $160-something thousand. And upon recommendation of bond counsel, what bond counsel is requesting is that we approve a resolution of the county council to establish a construction fund for proceeds to be received from the sale of real estate to the Wells County, Indiana Building Corporation, and make an appropriation from such fund for the county highway garage. Basically, we're appropriating money into this fund. It will be used for construction costs. The land, there needs to be money that changes hands based on just the sale and the working of the land and the lease financing. And so essentially, the $175,000 will be used for the construction cost. It will work in that direction, but by statute, we need to create a separate fund and appropriate that amount of money. And it's my recommendation, and also the recommendation of bond counsel, that we appropriate the sum of $175,000 out of the sale proceeds to be received by the county and deposited into the fund, which will be called the Wells County, Indiana County Highway Garage Construction Fund, and that will be used for paying the costs of the project. And I make that request now.
Colin, I have one question on that. With the process that's already taken place through the commissioners, has it already been closed on that property? Because there was some trade involved in that also, right?
Yeah, it's been closed.
It has been closed,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to confirm this.
And the building corporation met last week and approved the issuance of bonds. So this is just the next step in the.
So we would need a motion for that. So I'm not do that just yet, because we want to start the official meeting, and then we'll get back to doing that.
Okay, all right.
But I know you kind of
I didn't want
led
to jump
into
the gun
that,
there,
but
yeah.
I know we jumped it. So, as our custom, we're going to do.
I can stick around, Steve.
Okay, yeah, if you stick around for
All
a few
right,
minutes, and we'll get right back to that. As our custom, we're going to do our pledge and prayer, and then we'll get back into that. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us here today. We live in such a wonderful county, and we hope that we make decisions that are pleasing to you and to the county taxpayers. Lord, we just pray that you give us your blessing as we continue on with this meeting. Love you. Praise your holy name. Amen.
Thank you. Okay. So we have 6 members in attendance and Seth on Zoom. Hope he's not driving. I see he looks like he's in a car, though. Can't hear you, Seth, so.
He's not driving.
So we do have a quorum. So welcome to the Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 Wells County Council meeting. We're going to go through a couple things and we'll get right back to you, Colin.
Sure.
So first on the agenda is our minutes from June 7th. Have all council members had an opportunity to review that? If so, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Get a motion?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I need a roll call vote. Seth, can you hear me? Oh, we can't hear him.
We can't hear him. Is he on mute?
Come up with something.
Here he's going. Okay.
Hey Lisa, I can hear you guys. I don't know what's going on with the, I'm unmuted, it says.
It says you're unmuted.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just do it this way. Thank you.
Do you need each individual roll call?
Okay.
Do you need each individual on that vote?
Yes, I do. Steve Huggins,
Aye.
Seth Wicker,
Aye.
Chuck King,
Aye.
Vicki Andrews,
Aye.
Todd Monensmith,
Aye.
Jim Oswald, Scott Elzey.
Aye.
7-0.
Okay, before we get back to the transfers, we're going to let Colin, we'll go back to that. We'll entertain a motion to move forward with that resolution that he was referring to. So I'll need a motion for that.
If there's no further discussion, I will make that motion.
You have a motion? Do I hear a second? Second. A second? Any further discussion? Okay.
Steve Huggins,
Yes.
Seth Wicker,
Aye.
Chuck King,
Aye.
Vicki Andrews,
Aye.
Todd Monensmith,
Aye.
Jim Oswald, Scott Elzey.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay. I think we're
Thanks
good.
for moving me.
Yeah,
Do you need?
no problem. Okay, next up, we have transfers.
See.
Okay, we have several transfers. We have from the Veteran Service Officer, we have from equipment to printing and advertising. Anybody have any questions for Dewey on that? It's pretty straightforward. Clerk, postage to capital equipment. Questions on that? CARES Act, infectious disease, we have an operating expense to equipment. Let's see, is that it? Any other questions, discussion on transfers? I'll entertain a motion for the transfers.
Motion to approve transfers.
Do we have a motion
Second.
and a second?
Steve Huggins,
Aye.
Seth Wicker,
Aye.
Chuck King,
Aye.
Vicki Andrews,
Aye.
Todd Monensmith,
Aye.
Jim Oswald, and Scott Elzey.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, so now we have some additionals. First one being the county election board for some capital equipment. You want to step forward and explain that to us, Beth?
Yes, I had requested the transfer and the additional, because I didn't have enough money to transfer, to purchase some more of the poll pads, the electronic poll pads that we use. Currently, they're kind of outdated, And we had some issues in this last election because of them being outdated. We had 3 different versions of poll pads, so the programming was quite difficult. We
And
actually
a
had
poll
to-
pad is an iPad, correct?
Yes, it is an iPad.
Okay.
Mhm. And it's the electronic iPad that we use to sign in. So I had enough money to purchase some, but to purchase enough that I would need, so they'd all be the same year to last, I would like to request the additional appropriation to purchase, I think it was 4 more to make it enough for my whole election.
And how long will these last, roughly?
Well, the last ones we had, the very first ones we got is when Yvette was in, when we first went to vote centers and, let's see, probably 8 years at least, since we've done that. I don't know the exact years we went to the vote centers, but, so they have lasted, and they have lasted, it's just that when Apple, we had to go to get a account with Apple, because they're Apple iPads that we use, and with the new account and then the 3 different versions, so when we uploaded our program for the election, it just, because it would work on this version, but it wouldn't work on this version, so we had to use a new kind of, upload to upload that, and it just created quite an issue. I'm hoping that, we get at least, hopefully we don't have this issue if they're all the same. I hope that we won't, but, with the way election equipment is, if we have, the ones that we have replaced already have already been destroyed. We can't use them for any other purpose. They have to be sent back to the vendor, and the vendor has to destroy those. So they never end up in the public, even though they're just an iPad. But, since we've had used those for election, that we cannot have those out in circulation for any other purpose. So we had to go through a destruction plan, and they have been destroyed. But I'm just requesting to be able to purchase more, so I have them all of the same version.
Right.
Just curious, if you go forward in the next year or 2 for new machines, will this still be compatible with, hopefully?
Yeah, these.
I know there's some talk about.
Yeah, there's
the
2 different
budget side,
things,
yeah.
these are the poll pads that we
Yeah.
use for electronic
So that
voting,
shouldn't be
signing, but they don't have anything to do with our
Okay.
election equipment that we vote on.
Okay.
2 different.
Just want to make sure we didn't buy
Yeah.
new ones and turn around and
Yes,
they were no good
yeah,
for the
yeah.
next set of
Yeah, the election
machines.
equipment, which that's already been, in the paper, because we've mentioned that in our, and I plan to discuss all that with you all at election meeting. So, decide what we want to, how we want to go forward with this, but this is just the poll pads, which of course they're not nearly as expensive, is what we would have to replace the election equipment if that's the
Okay.
case.
Any further questions from council? We'll take these all at the same time, or when we get through all the questions, so stick around for a minute. Okay, from area plan, is it Mike's here? You the one causing all the ruckus in the
I
back
am the one
there?
causing ruckus today. Sorry about that. So we're here in front of you today. We did have our rural town cleanup event. Extremely successful. Did go over budget because of the extreme amount of tires that we received. So we're asking for an additional appropriation to make us whole for that event. And then obviously we'll reassess that at budget time for next year, whether we'll do one event a year or look at doing the 2 originally. What we ended up doing is we spent a little bit more on marketing for this event, got more people involved at the petroleum event, and went very well. So just looking at getting that account whole so we can be ready to complete the year.
Okay. So it's a good thing you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Any questions for Mike? Okay, thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
I think I brought this up before, I'll say it again. I think that money ought to be coming out of solid waste instead of area plan.
And we're in complete agreement with that process of that budget time, the accounts want to be switched.
Right, that'd probably be the time to take care of that.
Yep.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Highway, Sean. Should be pretty simple, right?
Yeah. The dust day was under. We can't guarantee how many people are going to get it every year. We can't guarantee the price when we budget for it. This year, we came a little short. So I was asking for additionals to make that account even.
So the price that they're paying, they're paying the county, right?
Yes.
That gets made back up, correct?
So that that reimbursement isn't enough to match this, is that what?
Correct.
Because your cost factor?
Because we budget in August, and then they sign up the following year between April and May, so we don't know how many citizens are going to take advantage of it, and then we also don't know what the cost of material is going to be until the
So
first
the
of the year.
material cost is what
Yeah, so
caught you
the-
here, is that what's
Yes.
made the difference? Just curious of what.
Material
Because
cost-
they're paying you back, they're reimbursing, they're paying you, the county, right?
Yes, but we have to.
Your cost to them, you're charging them wasn't enough to match what
Yes,
took place here, so.
correct. And we set our price for the liquid before they sign up, and then when they sign up, if we have more people sign up, then our original budget we made in August
Yeah.
doesn't match. And even when we made the budget in August, we didn't know what the cost of material was gonna be yet. So then we put it all together, went into August, and ended up
Should you
short.
wait a little longer before you tell them what the price is? To
Well-
know what your input costs are, or?
Yeah, that's very, yes. And then also, on past years, I haven't looked at past years, but there may be less people sign up. Some people get it every year, other people get it every other year, some go 5 years without getting it. So there's no dead set number to know exactly
Right.
to the penny what we need.
Okay, makes sense. Any more questions for Sean? Okay, I think we're good. Thank you. Mike, I think you're up, statewide 911. Evening.
So I'm here tonight to ask for an additional appropriation so we can make a purchase we've been planning on doing for almost a year now, and that's the power phone protocol system for the 911 center. A brief description of what the system is. So we already kind of use what they call a cash light. It's a light system of it. It's not the full-blown system. What we're wanting to do, the system that we're wanting to get, it interfaces with our CAD system, our computer-aided dispatch system. So when somebody calls 911 and they tell dispatch that they're having difficulty breathing, they type that call type into the CAD system, and then that opens the protocol up on another screen. All the questions that they need to ask, as they're asking the questions and they're inputting the answers, that floods into the notes and the comments of the call. So the first responder, whether it's EMS, fire, any first responder that's got a computer in their vehicle, they're going to see all those notes. Right now, we don't have that capability. And with this system, then it also right there in front of the dispatcher on that screen that comes up is the pre-arrival instructions. So CPR, bleeding, or it could be a fire. This system covers all three disciplines of public safety, law enforcement, fire, and EMS. So there's protocols in there for about almost 100 different types of calls. Some of them are kind of lumped together. We are already trained through PowerPhone on pre-arrival instructions, but because it's a separate system, it's hard for it to all tie together. So the purpose of buying this is kind of twofold. We have the protocols, we'll have the pre-arrival instructions, but then on the other side of it, they offer a training module that will allow us to do, because starting in 2024, 911 dispatchers are now considered first responders, so they are going to be required to have 25 hours of state mandated training, just like police and other first responders. So there's a cost with that. Plus there's a cost with training just to do the power phone. This year alone, I've spent over $5,000 training new dispatchers for the power phone and then getting recertification. The training module that they offer is $4,100 a year, but I can submit that to the Indiana 911 board and they pay that. It won't come out of our budget at all. But then that will save us money and having to pay for training to get all the state mandated training. I mean, 25 hours for 10 dispatchers or more if we have them, it's going to add up. So it's a system that we know works. I mean, when I was a dispatcher, I started in 91 to late 95, we started using PowerPhone in like 93, I believe. And back then it was books that were flip charts that you went through. Now everything's computerized. So we've actually went and we toured Miami County. They have the same CAD system that we have, and they have PowerPhone. We wanted to see how the interface worked. I mean, it was seamless, and PowerPhone is great to work with. Like I said, we've been working with them since 93 or 94. So I don't know if that answers everything.
Yeah.
If they have any questions, I definitely try to answer.
Council? I appreciate all you guys are doing, keeping that together. Sounds like you've had a little difficulty with finding personnel.
We got our hands full, that's for sure.
Yeah. You have any new?
Next month, we're gonna be down to 5 dispatchers. So, just because of maternity leave. But we do have 2 in training. So
Good.
when the one that's gonna be off for a little bit, when she's back, the other 2 will be trained, so we'll have our numbers up to 8. And right now, our number is 10, so.
You'd like to be up to at least 10,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's tough.
I'll tell you what, I got a good group, and they're doing a great job, and
Good.
can't ask for anything more than that.
All right, any further questions for? Okay, thanks for coming in, explaining that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so last one is lit correction rehab. Do we have anybody here to tell us about that?
That's just appropriating money for the bond principal and interest for
Okay,
the jail.
yep, okay,
It's budgeted for next year, but this year it was not.
okay. All right, so I'll need a motion to approve these additionals, council.
I'll make a motion to approve the additionals.
We have a motion? Seth seconds,
Steve Huggins,
yes?
Seth Wicker,
Yes.
Chuck King,
Aye.
Vicki Andrews,
Aye.
Todd Monson,
Aye.
Jim Oswalt, Scott Elsey.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay,
I did have one question in regards to the internal transfers.
Yes.
It was in reference to the bridge, the community crossing, which I see Nate here. And then guard, was that 2 different projects or the same, 2 different community crossing, guardrail was one
Yep.
project and bridge was the other project?
Yes.
This was on 600, on 600.
Exactly. No, what ended up happening with that is when the claims are getting processed, since they were all coming out from one contractor, was awarded both contracts. The money was spent out of just one line item and it wasn't spent from the other. So the easiest way to deal with that was just to transfer the money from the account that didn't get spent into the one where the money was actually coming out, just to balance the books.
So we're not taking, we never took money out of another project?
No, nope.
To take care of
The guardrail had to
situation.
be separate because it was
Okay.
over 300 feet away from the bridge, so the bridge was kept as a standalone piece and the guardrail was standalone. So there were 2 separate awards. It's just when the contractor was making payment requests, he did it all under one number, so it all came out of one pot. We just put all the money from pot 1 over to pot 2.
That's fine.
okay. Sheriff, you're up.
Good evening.
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 As of today, inmate population, we have 87 total inmates in our facility. 30 of those are pretrial superior, 22 are pretrial circuit, 23 are F6, and 3 are DOC. I've also handed out the monthly activity report for June. Nothing out of the ordinary, other than our average daily population this time last year is up by almost 20 inmates. So in the midst of construction, that tends to keeping us pretty full by any means. Also attached to that is the generated income for the month of June. Again, nothing out of the ordinary there. as usual. Just a heads up, I know you guys are dealing with appropriations already this time of year, but I know that fuel is probably a tight strain on everybody's budget. I know as of June, we were over halfway through our fuel budget for the year as well, so we're kind of monitoring that and seeing how that lends throughout the rest of the year, but that may be something I come back for at the end of the year, which is probably a given anyway, so. I also handed out the commissary reporting. Statutorily, I'm required to report to the fiscal body twice a year on the commissary expenditures and revenue of funds for that. So I handed out January through June on our commissary reporting to meet the requirement of that. Lisa, I noticed you had the meal money, or the expense to feed
Yeah.
inmates was on there. That is done through claims. I don't actually have a report for that. If it's something that the fiscal body is interested in, they could get that from Lisa. I mean, that's contracted, and that varies through the number of meals that are served. It's a per meal cost that I'm contracted through the kitchen service. So if that's something that interests you, you're welcome to get that claim reporting through the auditor's office. So that is not on any of the reporting that I put in.
It's not on this right here.
The number of meals served is on the monthly report that shows for the total month, like we served 7,830 meals.
I think that's something that's in your sheriff's contract.
Is that what it is?
I think
That's
it
not a
is.
statutory thing?
No, I think it's in your sheriff's contract.
Yeah, which I think probably needs addressed on the next
Yeah.
contract, because that's just a budgetary item that,
We asked Roy about it last year. And I don't know, we can look at it.
yeah. So if that's something you want, I can either obtain it, but it's pretty standard. It's, again, since our kitchen services are outsourced, the contractual basis is a per meal basis cost. So, if there's no question, any questions on any of that?
I'm still trying to find the meals, it's not here.
The number of meals served is under the activity report sheet, under jail activity.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. That's
Yeah.
right.
Shows how many inmates were booked, how many meals were served.
Gotcha.
Yep. It just doesn't have a financial cost attached to it, so. No questions on either of those? Okay. Other than that, construction, again, is still in full force. They're still working on the roof. Most of the interior masonry work is done. They're prepping, and I know getting prepared for things such as interior paint, electrical, plumbing, the jail door and lock system. People are going to be coming on site soon. So a lot of that interior stuff is reaching at least a structural-wise completion. They're working on exterior brick to match the existing building. That's been in the works already as well, so. And as of today, they started moving into the interior of our old classroom area, which is now going to be the video court, the 2 video courtrooms and a rec area. So they started taking down some infrastructure in there as far as ceiling stuff and tiles. So they're starting to make their way further into the jail, so. But yeah, things are continuing to move along, and again, feel free to stop out if you want to see it. Don't wear nice shoes, but come on out. Other than that, I don't have anything else unless anybody has any questions.
At our June meeting, it said, I think you mentioned the roof was to be completed by July. Is that not
By
the
the
case?
end of July. I
Was it
believe
the end of
is,
July?
For sure, Connor.
Our portion of it is complete. I'm
Yeah.
not exactly sure where the other roofing crew is at right now.
Yeah, I think at the last meeting, it was about 55% complete, that I remember. So, but I know that they're up towards the new portion. The whole back section, or where the inmates are, is complete. They have moved forward over the administration part. So we do have a meeting on next Tuesday, so I'll have a better understanding of where we're at with that. But they are, I mean, they're well past the halfway point on the roof, so. But,
Okay, good.
yep.
All right, appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you.
Tim, you're up.
Hello, I'm Tim Ramsey, President of Bi County, and here to, for our annual funding request and financial update.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
I have one.
Tim?
Last year was the first year that we've had an increase in our our funding for decades. I don't think anybody really knows how long it's been, but we had increase from $39,312 up to $41,280, which was $1,968. And we're asking the $41,280 be funded again for this next year. So the main challenges that we're having are the same challenges everybody's having, is trying to find staff. It's just been extremely difficult the last 2-3 years, and I don't think it's going to get any better. So we're trying different things, and we're successful at times and not at others, but you just keep working at it. So currently, we have a negative balance of $167,458 for the year. Last year, we ended up with a positive $757,418. And I think, as everybody probably knows, we generally have about $300,000 worth of depreciation every year. So if you look at the cash flow statement at the back of the financials there, we're about $65,000 to the positive so far this year. So we serve Bluffton, as this is our main office here. And then we have our fitness center, day services, Wicker Park, a lot of different things that go on there, plus different homes throughout the county. Total, we served 69 Wells County citizens. So with that said, we ask for approval of the $41,280, unless there's any questions.
Any further questions for Tim? You guys do a good job. Appreciate what you do for the community.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Need a motion for that. We do need a motion to increase from what we had normally done at $39,312 to the $41,280.
Was it an increase?
Yeah.
No, not for
It
this.
started this year.
Last year,
Yep,
last year.
yep.
Yeah, it's already in this year's
Yeah, it's already in
budget.
this year's budget, so it'd be the same as what we did.
Yeah.
last
Oh,
year.
you're right. You're right.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second it.
You have a motion second? Need to take a roll call?
Yep. Steve Huggins?
Yes.
Seth Wicker?
I believe I need to abstain from being on the board, my county board.
Oh, okay. Chuck King?
Aye.
Vicki Andrews?
Hi.
Todd Smith?
Aye.
Jim Oswalt? Scott Elzey?
Aye.
6-0. Motion passed 6-0 with Seth abstaining.
Okay. Connor?
Good evening.
Evening.
Hi.
Con?
How's it going? Good to see you guys. Here before you to provide an update on where we are on the highway garage project. When last we spoke, we were just about to receive our 95% construction set and then go through an estimating process. What fell out from that is that right now we're sitting at about 9.4 million, which represents a slight increase from the 50% estimate. That is largely from the fact that we used a more conservative electrical estimate than we had in the previous versions. And so earlier we didn't feel comfortable including that because we felt like it was too high, but because it's the higher number, I just didn't want it to be a shock to anyone if that number did end up where they're proposing it is, which is about 1.2 million. Seems a little bit high for this project, but we feel like it's a safer thing to include. We have also ordered a salt storage building that was a single spec product, and so we moved ahead with that as like a bid package 2. and we are just about ready to put this out for bid. The schedule going forward is that we are going to advertise for bids on July 12th. We will have a pre-bid the following week, and then 2 weeks after that, we have a bid date of August 2nd.
And this is for the whole project or just the salt?
Nope, it's the whole
And
thing.
salt's in that, say, whole project.
So sometime within a couple of weeks after that, after we've talked to the bidding contractors, we should be able to know where the project is and produce the guaranteed maximum price amendment to our contract.
And you'll have that early August, is that what you're saying?
I'd say, well, it'll probably be a couple of weeks into August.
Okay.
And these dates are dependent on me receiving construction documents from the architect by the end of the day tomorrow. So we're really close. It's possible that all of those could shift by about a week, depending on what's going on PCI's end. I have suspended the pre-construction meetings, so we've been having meetings about every 3 weeks. Now that we're kind of shifting our phases from pre-construction into the construction phases, I'm suspending those meetings, and then they'll resume as construction progress meetings going forward. I do have a question, I think probably for Lisa. We have the pre-bid meeting and the bid opening. We need to do those in public, and they're read aloud, or for the bids they are, but I need some meeting space to do that. And I was just wondering what the process is for booking this room.
Yes, I can do that for you.
Awesome.
August 2nd?
I will send you an email that
Yeah.
just has those.
There's
make
just
sure
a council meeting in the evening, so it should be free during the day, but I'll need to check.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's what I know. Do you guys have any questions?
So do we have a firm number for I&M to bring in power?
We have a number, yes.
Do we have a firm number on city services coming out, cost?
There will be, that's kind of up in the air. We have the building designed and the utilities coming out to it for just the service to that building. However, the city would like us to consider increasing the size, and so we'll have that as an alternate bid to be included with the bid packages. So we'll know what the cost of that upgrade is at that point.
So does this estimated number include any equipment, or is this strictly building?
Right now-
And if equipment, what are we talking?
Right now, that estimate does include equipment, and there's about $350,000 in items that Sean would like to purchase for this project. And then in addition to that, we are budgeted for about another 50 for interior furnishings. And it's been indicated but not confirmed that the equipment and the furnishings will probably be handled directly by the county garage employees rather than through our contract.
So through their budget?
I'm not sure of the.
I think it would by the highway department handling it directly, it would cut out the part of the markup of trying to do it through the Jackson's contract. So what we try to do is try to procure some of the equipment more directly rather than having it through the bid spec process. Because there is a markup going through Jackson.
And what's the scope of that, size of that amount?
I don't know exactly. All the
Approximately.
equipment. Most of it is just the furniture that would be necessary as far as the interior furnishings. The equipment was mechanic shop areas.
Yeah, it's a ton of mechanics equipment, like lifts and oil, fluid distribution system and tire changing equipment, and I mean, there's.
But those things are not in this number that you're
In
giving?
the 9.4 million, they are still.
They are.
That's something we haven't.
But you'll procure them separately?
That is to be finalized. The commissioners will have to make that decision.
It kind of makes more sense because Sean knows exactly what he wants. He is the expert in this. And so adding us and an architect and.
No, that's
people
fine.
that-
That's probably the correct way to do it. I just need to understand that
And you said
high
it's
water
around-
mark for us.
You said it's around 350K, is that where we're at?
That's for the
That's the number he come up with, yeah, I looked at it
equipment.
at the beginning, but
Yeah.
prices have changed, and I haven't
Yeah.
followed, so we're just going.
But that's in the budget,
Yeah,
essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's in the number you're seeing now.
Yeah.
yes.
And back to Chuck's question in regards to the utilities, that's in the 9.4 million right now to cover everything?
It covers what is currently designed. It does not include the upgrade that the city
Upgrade that would be
made.
an alternate
Yep,
in this bid package.
correct.
Okay, any further questions for Connor? Any requests for him to lower that on the next time he comes back?
always.
Appreciate.
I'm just
Okay.
hoping we hit this number. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of this lives in my head.
I understand.
And, you know, this is my best professional idea of where we're at right now.
Okay, Bill. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Connor.
Thanks. Appreciate your time.
All right. Next item on the agenda, you can scratch for the Amoresco jail update. So we're going to move on to the library updates. Dustin. Evening.
Good evening. Happy to be back. This is just an update, the quarterly update that you have requested. The first item on my list of things to share is an update on the Fine Free program. I know that there were some questions about that at the last meeting. We do not have numbers for the fines received from January to June so far this year. When we built the budget, we planned on $4,000 in fines and fees. That includes fines for overdue materials, but also meeting rooms and that sort of thing. So we did budget for a decrease. Our lost item numbers have stayed about the same. Our hold items have stayed about the same. What we have seen is a very sharp decrease in the number of missing items. We're attributing that to the fact that previously, if people had a fine, they would just take the material off the shelf without checking it out. And now, because the fines are not a roadblock to them, they're checking them out. So it allows us to have better control over the materials there in the library. From March to June, we issued 207 new cards. That's an uptick over what is typically the case.
Once someone has a card, do they ever have to get another one, or?
Yeah, they expire.
They do expire?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they do. And typically when, a lot of what we're seeing is kids and teenagers aging into needing an adult card.
Okay.
That was a part of the uptick we saw. We have plans to provide lockers for after-hours pickups for patrons, both at the Bluffton location, the Ossian location, and then down at Southern Wells. However, those lockers are caught up in the same supply chain nightmare that everybody else is dealing with, so they're on a boat somewhere. That's the best information that we have. As far as the building goes, we're continuing to make updates to the HVAC equipment. This is money that's been budgeted in our LRF and rainy day funds, just items that are aging. And then we have plans to redo some of the landscaping, starting in the spring, with a combination of donations, endowment monies, and LRF funds. We're gathering quotes, looking for ideas and designs. We want to increase the outdoor seating and replace some of the plants that have outgrown the locations they were put in 25 years ago. And then the last item is just with our budget, the state's allowing a 5% increase in budget, and we are prioritizing those items that deal with utilities and material purchases, just to kind of stay ahead of the inflation that we're seeing. That's my report for this evening. Are there any questions?
In your mind, it's still justified then going with fine-free, the program? It's working the way you wanted it to? and-
Absolutely. Yeah, the decrease in lost items was an unanticipated benefit. We're not running any shortfalls or anything like that.
That's good. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Leon?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I've passed out before the meeting this evening a number of sheets of paper, which I'll attempt to explain from my notes, and then if you have any questions when I'm done, you can fire away. This project that I started 8 months ago finally came to fruition on June the 17th, when we mailed out letters that you have a copy of there from the Wells County Regional Sewage District Board. And the purpose of this is to help low-income residents in the 9 unincorporated towns in Wells County. Not the entire county, but just the unincorporated towns. Very early on in this process, like in December of last year, I was given hope from Tammy Slater from the Wells County Foundation that she could create a fund to accept donations. But at that time, I didn't know how to reach out to businesses and individuals to ask for money to put into this fund. Then, fast forward to this past spring, I had a conversation with our RSD attorney, Mark Burry, and he suggested that the RSD become a member of the Chamber of Commerce in order to have access to a mailing list. And then with the help of Mr. Burry and Aaron Preble from the Chamber of Commerce and myself, we were able to produce this letter, which I passed out to you earlier. Then on June 17th, we mailed out 364 letters to the chamber members, and with the help of Lisa and the auditor's office, we were able to do a mass mailing, and that went very smooth. Going back to February, I don't know how many of you were at the town hall meeting in the Chamber of Commerce building with Travis Holdman and Nat Lehman. And at that time, when they opened it up to the floor, I asked those two gentlemen if there was any state agency that could help low-income people with these projects. And Mr. Holdman told me that there was a task force looking into it, but nothing really existed at this time. And right after that meeting, it was mentioned by someone else that maybe a new sewer tax could be formed to create money. But to be honest with you, I wasn't too fond of that idea because I don't think we need another tax. So it was an idea, and I appreciated that, but I didn't really get on board with that. At any rate, keep in mind that the RSD has a total of 9 unincorporated towns on its radar to install new sewer systems. Within those 9 towns, there are approximately 600 homes total. And I was told several months ago that the percentage of low-income residents in those towns could be as high as 70%, which kind of set me back. I had no idea it was that high. Now, the 70% might be reduced some because some of the low-income residents are renters, and they will not necessarily be responsible for decommissioning their system and hooking up to the new. So, but it's still a pretty high number. And this whole idea of mine to help the folks came about last summer when we had public hearings for all the unincorporated towns, explaining to the residents what the upfront cost could be and what the monthly cost is going to be. And I can still remember seeing the anguish on some people's faces, you know, that how, not only how am I going to pay for it, but how is my mother going to pay for it if she's on a fixed income? Maybe she's a widow, you know. It's just, it was very touching, you know, to see the anguish on their faces. So that's when I pursued this project. That brings me up to the next point. The 2 township trustees in Murray and Liberty Center projects have agreed to screen the applicants. A low-income person that needs financial help, they're going to be screened by Rick Smith and Trent Markley. And you see, I think I passed out a copy of a application that Rick gave me. They're both on the same page. And when I had meetings with Tammy Slater, with Aaron Preble, the 2 township trustees, we're all on the same page that this is to help legitimate, poor, low-income people not people that want to use money for nonsense like alcohol or drugs or whatever, you know. This is just for legitimate purposes. And the project, of the 364 letters that we mailed out are asking for donations, and that is not for the monthly fee. Okay, this is strictly for the decommissioning and hooking up to the new system, this special fund that Tammy Slater has created. And as of 4 o'clock this afternoon, she received several donations toward that fund. Right now, it's $800, and I'm expecting that number to grow. I really am. And keep in mind that I have no idea what the end result is going to be on the donations, nor do I have a real good handle on how many applications are going to be. I told the commissioners that I'm leaving that into God's hands, and what will be, will be. But at least we'll have something to help some of the folks. In addition to this program to help the decommissioning, there is also a sheet that I gave you that shows that there is financial help available through the USDA Rural Development Program. That is something totally separate. It would be for very low-income people, but the plus side to this program from the USDA is that the monies, if they qualify, can not only be used for decommissioning their system, but it can be used for repairs on their house. Could be, you know, put on a new roof or new siding or whatever that home may require. So that's the beauty of that project. And then if you jump down to points 3 and 4, where we have Community Care Resource Center and the Salvation Army on Main Street and the Johnson Street, those folks, in addition to the trustees again, can help on short-term monthly bills. They both agreed to do that, just on a temporary basis. So, trying to cover as many bases as at all possible. This is not a project that the RSD is required to do, but I do have the backing of the entire board and our attorney. And I'm hoping that it has your blessing. I mean, they're already in the mail, it's too late now, but like I say, it's not, our responsibility as a board is to get pipes in the ground and eliminate septic problems. That's our job. This is just kind of an auxiliary project.
But you only sent letters out to the Wells County Chamber members, is that what?
Yes, 364. Now, there's over 400 chamber members, but some of those members are in New York and Arizona and Illinois. I didn't mail all those out simply to save postage for one thing.
Sure.
But yeah, 364 letters have been mailed out.
So those are to mainly businesses? So to speak.
Mostly, yeah, yep.
So is there any thought to mailing to a broader county audience?
The residential, Wells County residents, or?
You got any suggestions?
I mean, you know,
Well, it's going,
then you're getting a whole big area.
yeah,
So,
I know.
which I don't think
I guess I was hoping on the news banner to help to a degree, and I believe that'll happen.
Sure.
No, that'd
As
be
far as
good.
no, I haven't. I guess between this and word of mouth and the news banner, that's where I'm at this point.
Right.
If you have a suggestion on residents, I'll be glad to entertain that.
I think the district will probably put something as far as a link to the chamber or for the foundation on their website. They can do something like that. I think something Leon, the board has supported Leon in this kind of a passion project of finding funding for underserved and those who are in need. But obviously the district's has to use utility rates to pay for the printing, the postage, and the rest. I mean, so the district's got to pay for that, just to even send the notices out. So they'll have to make decisions on how to.
Is there a precedent for this? Have you seen it anywhere else? Is there?
Not within the RSD. yeah.
Nothing like it in Adams?
Well, and nothing like that in Adams County. I think that some of the utility companies have some of that, but that's also ways for them to do. They do that either as
They do
a
adopt a
tax
bill or
interest.
something like that.
They've got some others from within, but they're often profiting companies. Your utility is a not-for-profit in its structure. So that's kind of, this is something that was kind of the creation of Leon's, and I give him all the credit. I want him to take credit for putting this together, because anybody that's served by this, it wouldn't have happened without Leon spearheading this. And I know you spent hundreds of hours, maybe. I mean, it's been probably about a full-time job in some aspects to get this put together. So
Let's
I
call
give
it
him all
a
the
la-
credit for making that happen.
We'll
So-
call it a labor of love.
Yeah, so I hope people support it and find in their hearts to put money into that, because he's trying to be very responsible in the setup of that. It's not something that the district can't set rates where they're higher so that it can give charity out. It's impossible for the district to do that appropriately.
So you're being here tonight is just informational only?
Yep.
Thank you. That's good, good. I'm hoping so.
Leon, you're an appointment of county council, correct?
Yes, I
For
am.
district. So, I mean, he's doing your work for the district and for the citizens that the sewer district serves. So, I mean, kudos to Leon for doing that. Greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, this is
You bet.
a really good start, and hopefully we get more residents
I have no idea
involved.
where to
that,
start, but I could write a book
that
on
might-
it now.
That might participate and help those that need it, so, yes,
Yes,
that's
yeah, any
the whole idea.
contribution, and it's tax-free.
Because it's going to the foundation. correct?
Yes, since it's going through the foundation. Oh, one thing I may not have mentioned is that when Tammy did issue a check after the trustees approve an application, that the check will go directly to the contractor doing the work and not to the individual homeowner. That way we know where the money's gonna go.
So if a homeowner absolutely does not have the money for that contractor, what happens?
We haven't been down that road. This is our first rodeo.
That's between the contractor.
Yeah.
As far as the contractor and.
I mean, will they do the work, or will they just wait?
For the connection.
I'm just curious.
Well, typically what I understand is that the foundation would look at what cash they have on hand, and if the applicant qualifies, then they could pay the contractor through the foundation for someone that's in that situation. So as long as there is funds there, then they could do that work knowing that they would get paid through the foundation.
I guess one thing that I think might be beneficial is if you could update us. I'm not sure every meeting it's necessary, but maybe every other meeting, to say how many applicants you're getting.
Well, I'm curious myself.
So that
yes.
kind of people can know, that
I've
paper
been-
can report that, and just where the need lies.
Yes,
Because we don't know what that for sure need is, or
Yeah.
how many people will apply yet.
That's right.
So-
It's unknown,
Yeah.
but I'm anxious to.
But that would be
find out.
something you could report
Right.
somewhat periodically, that could get reported.
I did hear one side story, 5, 6 days ago. I was talking to a lady, and her husband is a contractor, and he, on his own, I'm not gonna mention his name, I've never even met him, but he on his own is giving some homeowners, his neighbors, a real deal, a real good cut and he's doing it for practically nothing, is what it amounts to. And that will help.
That will
And
help very
anything
a lot,
at all
yeah,
that
for
can
sure.
help these folks.
Yeah.
And that one contractor is doing just that. He's practically doing the work for nothing. So that all helps.
When are they supposed to have these in?
Pardon?
When are they supposed to have this done?
Well, that's another thing. With the 9 unincorporated towns, this could take 5 years, thereabouts. We have 2 of the 9 are done now, Murray and Liberty Center. Craigville will be started this year. Next year it'll be Toxin and Kingsland. After that, Riceboro, Petroleum, Keystone, north end of Ossian. It's gonna take another 5 years, and I'm hoping that we don't have to do another mailing. I hope we receive enough funds and that there's not so much demand to use those funds that they'll last those 5 years.
When did you start the mailing?
I mailed them out June 17th.
Yeah, just recently.
A little over a month ago. And I think at least 5 have responded, and we have at
But
least...
Murray and Liberty Center, probably within, how long do they
They've
have?
been received connection notices, and I believe there's a 90-day.
So they got 90
90-day
days to
connection.
be connected. and be-
Yep, so there are numerous connections that are in the works right now. I
They
think
are.
Lewis Brown would know specifics as far as who has connected, that's not.
So I'm assuming then upcoming projects will be kind of the same thing,
Yep.
90 days basically.
No, this setup right now that Leon has is really going to be helpful more so in phases 2, 3, and 4, because of the timing and putting it together, and even receiving funds. I mean, if someone wants to bankroll the endowment for that, that'd be fantastic, but I think it's gonna be more of a slow process of receiving donations over a period of time.
Yeah. Tammy will keep the fund open for a number of years until this process is done. And once everybody is connected, then that fund, I don't know how it will be dissolved. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I mean, there's a board on the Wells County Foundation. They administer that, and we'll just have to go from there.
Thank you, Leon.
You're welcome.
Good job, Leon.
You bet, thank you.
Okay, we already did Colin, so we're down to miscellaneous business, which is,
The Regional Sewer District Quarterly Loan Balance Report. In the agreement we have with the RSD for their line of credit, you wanted quarterly reports, which I have been a little delinquent on, but, yeah. So, they borrowed another $500,000 on February 22nd. If they paid that back today, they would pay $501,835.62. I don't know what else you want me to report, but
nope, as long as we keep having that number in front of us, so we know what the update is, yeah.
So my understanding is the closing proceeded with the Craigville project, so once construction starts, then the district will be able to start putting some claims in to pay that back. So I hope to have that cleared up here in the next, probably 2 or 3 months.
I hope.
So,
Just curious, is the ARP money coming in from the feds?
he got the check today.
yep, took that over to the accountant so that it's in safe hands for deposit.
Okay. Anything else from council you'd like to bring up at this time? Anyone? Seth, you good?
I will say,
I'm good, thank you.
I attended the state county council meeting in Bloomington with Lisa for the council, so good information, just a lot of good information, met some people, and a lot of people are, talking about solar like we have been, and so there was some real good discussion there, and a guy from Huntington County actually wants me to, he just emailed me today and asking it some more questions, so it was good to have that relationship with those people
Right.
and see what other counties are doing, so.
Anything from the audience tonight you'd like to bring up?
I heard earlier you talk about adding on to the county garage with a salt building, is that correct?
It's a separate building.
Yeah, separate building. Has anyone approached the person who's buying the old county garage, if he'd be willing to lease some space for that rather than purchasing a new one? Is that an option?
I think the issue with the current facility is we're only able to really house like 1 truckload of salt in it, and not a season's worth. Our goal now is to try to buy the salt in one time during summer, so if we get all our salt delivered in, say, July, so that we don't run into the circumstances that we had even in last winter where we had to borrow salt from the state because we couldn't get trucks with salt.
You have to mix it outside.
Or in mixing outside.
Yeah.
So, which is a big no-no. Environmentally, you're not supposed to be doing that. So we need to get that rectified.
Okay.
So, no, I'm sure we could come up with some sort of agreement if we had to store something out there in the short term, but I don't think that's the goal. If we're gonna spend this much money on a facility, by golly, it better serve our needs.
Right.
Right. Anything else? Okay. Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion? And second?
Steve Huggins.
Yes.
Seth Wicker.
Aye.
Chuck King.
Aye.
Vicki Andrews.
Aye.
Todd Monsmith.
Aye.
Jim Oswalt. Scott Elzey.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Meeting is
Okay,
adjourned.
we are adjourned.